Folks jumping into the room today. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to sort of move a little slowly as we're letting more folks join into the room, get their cameras on, and see everybody popping up. And so, hello and welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song. Today is day something, and I'm hoping somebody's going to cue me. I know it's 1300 and something, so I'm going to look around and see who's giving me a cue for the day. So glad that you guys have all decided to join us here. For anybody who's new, the Daily Antidote of Song is one sing-along song every day at noon Eastern. It is free. We are here doing this thing that we do, and we welcome all of you out there on the live streams and in the Zoom to tell your friends all about it, to join us, to sing along. It's a little bit to keep us connected, and a bit about activism in the world and helping the world to be a better place. And we'll talk more about that as we rove through today's day. First of all, hello to everybody out there on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, a hello to everybody in the room. I'm going to say hello to Jaden in Silver Spring, Maryland. She is running our tech for us today. Jaden, thanks so much for being here. Hello to, and I should have said right up front, today is also part of New Year, New Friends. So we are celebrating the beginning of 2024 by singing with folks we haven't met yet. And today we're very excited to have Scott Ainslie coming in with us from Brattleboro, Vermont, where it seems to me like every musician we know and love lives. And we'll get back to Scott in a minute. Thanks for being here, Scott. Kevin coming in from DC with a golden flute. Thank you so much for being here today. Hi to Dally in Maryland. Nice to see you. Busy Graham coming in from Maryland. Nice to have you. That's Busy, who is the ED of Carpe Diem Arts that keeps this program going day after day after day after day after day. Thank you, Busy Graham, for being here today. Great to see you. Mabel and the Bears coming in from Massachusetts. Beautiful smile, Mabel, and the Bears are dancing already. Arlene in California. Glad to see you today. Hi to Gary in Massachusetts. Susan in Cincinnati. Hello. Sheila in North Florida. Nice to have you with us today. Ruth and Clive in Birmingham, UK. Good to see you guys together. Nice to have you. Kate in Charlottesville, Virginia. Nice to see your smile. Caroline in DC. Welcome. Cricket in Maryland. Hello. Bob in Albany. Nice to see you. Sue in Seattle. Elizabeth in California. Hello to Roger, who may be new to us today. Glad you're here. Deborah in Kentucky. Glad to have you with us today. Hello to Carolyn. Nice to see you today. Kathy in Denver with a little puppy. Nice to have the puppy here too. Hello to Kathleen in Albuquerque. Hi to Carolyn in Boise, Idaho, who is giving me my cue card. Today is day 1367. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Really glad that you've helped me out on that, because I was not remembering. Diana, thanks for being with us today. Maybe also new, or maybe you were here the other day. Martha in Oregon. Hello. Annette in California. Bonnie in Idaho. Maureen in Edmonton, Canada. Hello to Aloysius in Massachusetts. Nancy in Washington State. Marcia, nice to have you. Becky in Vancouver, did I see you? Barb and Lynn in Connecticut, Carol in Connecticut, Hoda in British Columbia. Hello to someone who is on a computer, Galaxy something, Anne in Silver Spring, Fred in Silver Spring. Let's all take a deep breath. Are you laughing at me because I needed to take that deep breath?
I was waiting for you to breathe, yeah.
Yeah, no breathing allowed. I hope I didn't tell you were going to be able to breathe. So, all right, I'm super glad we're all here today, and I'm really excited to have Scott Ainslie, who I don't actually know kind of how we haven't had Scott Ainslie yet. He moves in like pretty much all of the same circles that I move in, and that a lot of us move in, and that so many of our song leaders move in. So as I mentioned, he's in Brattleboro with the likes of Alex Cumming and Peter Amadon and Stefan and Zara and so many other folks who've been in this room with us, Brendan Taff and lots of others. He's also a big figure at Mad Week that happens at Pine Woods every year. And so there he's also with folks like Joe Jenks and Reggie Harris, and so a friend of many of our friends. He's done a lot of incredible work, been on the folk scene for a long time. And the song that he's brought to us today, I will just say quickly, is perfect for me in terms of how we are starting off the new year. Because for me, 2024 and the Daily Antidote of Song is going to be about our role as activists in this crazy, crazy falling apart world. And so Scott is starting us off on the right foot by bringing us something that we can really give some thought to. So Scott, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. It's good to be with you all. The song that I'm going to sing for you is an original I wrote in 2008, and it's a true story song about a woman named Gracia Cruz, who was lost in the Sonoran Desert on the Tohono O'odham Reservation. in the middle of June in 2007. I heard her story on NPR and couldn't get it out of my head. I had friends who worked on the border with the Samaritans out of Green Valley, Arizona, and I spent about a year actually working on a song, and when I finished it, I played it for Latino friends who, when you tell somebody else's story, you kind of have to check it out with them first. So I took Tomas Montoya and Jose Cuellar, two good friends and fine musicians, aside one by one and played them the song to get their reaction and make sure that I hadn't missed something. And they both play on the track. The video is on YouTube. It's one of the places it's been released. It was also released on Songs from the Border, which was a benefit CD to raise money for No Mas Muerte, also in Arizona. And I'll play the song. We can talk a little more about it after. The lyrics are in the chat if you want to follow along. There is a chorus, which will become obvious, but it might help to read. So I'm in C tuning if you're a guitar player. If you're not, I'm also in C tuning. I go to the market in the town I was born. It's full of cheap clothes from China and American corn. But we have a small farm that we water with tears. How can we compete? The gringo farms are so big. Now we cannot stay here. And why would I leave the land that I love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. So we pay the coyote. We rode in the van. We walked in the desert, lost in this land. Her feet were so blistered that she could not go on. When I left her, I kissed her. When I came back, she was gone. And why did we leave the land that we love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. Who cares if your markets are free? Was a poor man who suffered and died. A crown of thorns spear in his side. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. But I'm sorry, my friend, when we come to the end, how can we say that of you? And why would we leave the land that we love? Consuelo, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. Who cares if your markets are free? Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Scott. That was absolutely remarkable and part, I know, of a larger project. You mentioned the NPR broadcast, and I poked around on your site when you sent it to me with all of the layers and the tiers of that song, Tears, by which I meant tears, but I'll go both ways, that are related to that song and the story. And can you please tell us more about it? Share with us more of the content.
Well, I heard the story on NPR. Gracia crossed the border with her husband and her uncle and a group of about 20 migrants with the human smugglers. They were called coyotes then. Now they call them pollos because the coyotes are staying on the other side of the border to keep out of trouble. And they send the little chickens to lead the migrants. And they couldn't keep up with the group, and the smugglers abandoned them. They will tell you before you cross the border that the Tucson is a 5 mile walk when it's 75 miles. And so instead of one bad night in the most dangerous part of the Sonoran Desert, where the wall stops, they've driven all the traffic away from safer places to cross the border. And it's a 5 day walk. And in the summertime, it takes 2 gallons of water per person to stay alive in that desert. So nobody can possibly carry 14 gallons of water, and your lives at risk the moment you cross the border. And they get the money up front, so you're completely expendable as a human being in this transaction. And they abandoned Gracia and her husband and uncle, who stayed behind with them. And her uncle died the first night out. He died within 24 hours of crossing the border. And Gracia couldn't continue, and her husband parked her in the shade of a saguaro cactus and went looking for help. And it took him a couple days to find a Border Patrol agent to come and help rescue his wife. And when they got back, she was just simply disappeared. They have not found bones or anything. They did find a medal, a Catholic, medal in the desert. But the story, the NPR story, you can hear or read about on my website on cattailmusic.com under the My Work list of all the lyrics and stories for the songs I've recorded. And you can hear and read through the NPR story where her sister had crossed the border to look for her body, using her husband on the phone to kind of triangulate where they might have been. And they found almost nothing. So I was haunted by this story and wrote it, and then decided that I needed to drive it past Jose and Tomas before I could sing it for anybody else. And they were grateful, and you'll hear they're playing on the YouTube video of the song. The video is not me performing it per se, although there are videos of me performing it on YouTube live, but the video is the images from the Sonoran Desert and from Nogales, Mexico. It opens with the cemetery, which is the place where the immigrants spend their first night if they can escape the drug gangs when they are deported. So, Joe, you want to pull up the video, and
Yeah.
we take a look at that together, and you can kind of review the song again. In the middle of the song, Tomas, when I played it for me, said, the melody is reminiscent of La Golondrina, which is the swallows, which is a song of parting in Mexico. When somebody leaves, when somebody dies, when somebody emigrates, this is a song that they sing because the swallows, of course, always return. So it's a song of hope. So in the instrumental and in the opening of the song, you'll hear a little quote from La Golondrina, which I hope a Mexican heart would hear and resonate with. So
Thank you, Scott. So beautiful and so moving. So we'll watch the video now, gang, and then we'll talk some more after that. Thank you, Scott.
I go to the market in the town I was born. It's full of cheap clothes from China and American corn. But we have a small farm that we water with tears. How can we compete? The gringo farms are so big. Now we cannot stay here. And why would I leave the land that I love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for the wages, I'd be living there still. So we pay the coyote. We rode in the van. We walked in the desert, lost in this land. Her feet were so blistered that she could not go on. When I left her, I kissed her. When I came back, she was gone. And why did we leave the land that we love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for the wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. Who cares if your markets are free? Jesus was a poor man who suffered and died. A crown of thorns, spear in his side. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. But I'm sorry, my friends, when we come to the end, how can we say that of you? And why would we leave the land that we love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. You're muted, Joe. The I haven't seen that video in a long time. It was very moving to see it again. The scratched hands of the migrants were at the Comodore and the food preparation, which is a place where migrants who've been deported usually dropped off in the middle of the night, the most dangerous possible time for people with absolutely nothing to be left on the streets of Nogales, Mexico. They can get 2 weeks of breakfast or lunch there to try and keep them alive and get their feet under them and figure out how they're going to get them home again. And everything in that desert has a thorn in it. Joe, you've been out there, and just the slightest injury can cost you your life in that context. Especially in the summertime, it's too hot. In the winter, it can go below freezing at night. So it's a very forbidding context. And for me to make the penalty for crossing the border without papers a death penalty seems to me to be absolutely absurd and inhumane. So there it is. I sing this song a lot. It scares me, uh, but it's necessary to tell the story.
So thank you so much, Scott. And I think, so, here in this room, we've done a lot of singing and talking and thinking about the stories that scare us, because as you said, it's necessary. And if we're not singing and thinking and talking about it, then we're probably not doing enough. And there's so much that needs to be done. You're right. Yes, we talked about this. I was out there when I was in my young 20s. I walked some of that same area that you're singing about. And I was talking to Scott and saying how deeply moving and petrifying and I don't know, the desperation of all of the things that you saw cast away, the water bottles, the blue jeans, the sneakers, the whole backpacks, and like it really shook me up and had something to do with what fueled me to do the work that I do in sort of trying to do whatever it is any of us can do to try to make the world a better place. And I think it's specifically important to be thinking and singing about that right now, as we all know that immigration issues are high on the list of things that are being talked about with incoming or potential incoming or outgoing political candidates. So I think we'll be thinking about the issue a lot. And we did do, Scott, I didn't mention this to you, a whole week of immigration songs here in the Daily once. That was really, really spectacular. And I'll send you a link to that playlist so you can see what else we sang. Wish we would have known you then. Glad we know you now. And is there something else you'd like to share about the whole project and the song and the story?
Well, I knew that the NAFTA treaty, which Clinton rammed through in the middle of the night with the help of, with Vicente Fox's desire to kick peasants off their land so he could get the oil out from under it, made American corporate corn cheaper to sell in Mexico than it was to grow. And so it's important to recognize that we have a role to play, a foundational role to play in displacing people off their land. And of course, they came to where their jobs went. They come north, and it's not just to buy big screen TVs and take our jobs. They're running for their lives and livelihoods. So
Yes,
important
thank you.
that people know that.
Yes, and Scott, I think that you also just said another really important thing, which is that we can feel, we have the luxury to feel detached of, to a lot of the things that are happening. But the reality is we carry in the day-to-day lives that we lead a lot of the responsibility, right? Like because we live this way, other people live the way they live, right? Like we are central to our nation, and our individual lives are central to the whole operation of not even just the countries that touch us, but a lot of the countries that don't touch us. And so I'm really glad that you brought this forward and help us to think about that. It is only the second day of the year, and I hope we're going to spend the other 363 of them singing and thinking about this a lot. So
Actually,
thanks,
we
God.
have an extra day this year uh, to do
Oh,
to do good work. There's a 29th of February. This is a leap year, so just take a day off when you need to and do what you can with the life in front of you. To close out this our time together, I'm going to sing a song that I'm sure you all know it. It's a song that was in The Wizard of Oz, and it was nearly left on the cutting room floor. Yip Harburg and Harold Arlen wrote the music, and Yip wrote most of the dialogue for the film as well, and they just sort of oversaw it. And when they saw the first cut of the film, this song wasn't in it. It happens early in the screening, and it wasn't there. The Suits thought that the movie was too long, and so they cut this song out of it. And Yip Harburg and Harold jump up out of their chairs in the screening room and running into some vice president's office and start jumping up and down and screaming until they relented and put the song back in the movie, which is a good thing because can you imagine The Wizard of Oz or our lives without a song like this? Now, this is a song that I sang at not TradMad, but Pinewoods many, many years ago. And everybody wants to sing along to everything at Pinewoods. And I wanted them to listen to me do the song. And so I forbid them to sing along. And Joe Newberry coordinated the week that year, and a dear friend. And we had a little business where we said, Joe, no, I'm going to sing this next song. He says, Joe says, yeah. And everybody knows it. And I said, yeah. But nobody can sing along. I said, that's right. Even though they know it, they have to listen. And he said, well, I can sing, can I? I said, no, you can't. He said, I hired you. I said, you can fire me now and we'll just forget the last song, or but you can't sing with me. No. And Joe goes, all right, and walks off stage. Little business. So here it is. This is the song that nearly went to the cutting room floor. This is proof that the Suits shouldn't be allowed to make any important decisions unsupervised. I mean, what were they thinking? Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that we dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where those clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, yeah. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that we dare to dream Thanks for listening.
Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, everybody, Scott Ainslie, please. That was really remarkable, Scott. Thank you for the journey that you took us on today.
A pleasure.
Really lovely to sing with you once and not sing with you once, actually, I will say. It was quite refreshing. I did find myself sneaking in a little bit here and there, but I noticed everybody in the room was doing the same thing, like, listening and being there, and then every once in a while you'd see somebody's mouth move and then they would pull back again. So it was a great experience. And
Well,
it's
it's
a
the
great
perfect kind of sing along for me because I can't hear you.
We all sound great.
I'm sure.
I was gonna say it's also a really lovely way to end today because one of the things, about like the hard work that we talk about is it's important to keep our own spirits buoyed. And that song really, it's uplifting at the same time as helping us to see that we need to be thinking beyond and beyond, below, above, and around all the rainbows. So Scott, thanks again for being here.
It's great to be with you all.
We hope you'll come back and sing with us again sometime. We make it easy since we're every day of the week, every day of the year. So thanks so much. And so funnily enough, I learned during the sound check that Scott in Brattleboro happens to be the next door neighbor of the person I'm having a meeting with at her house on Thursday. So I believe I'm actually going to be meeting Scott on Thursday, which is very funny timing. And I think he said he'll make us coffee or
I will.
tea.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to meeting you, Scott. Glad that you could be here and glad that you've become part of this Daily Antidote crazy, amazing family. And we're gonna give it up for Scott, please, one more time. And give it up to yourselves, folks, for making it here every day and for doing all the work that we do. We want to say goodbye and thank you to everybody out there on the live stream. Thanks so much, gang, for joining us today. A big thank you to Jaden for running the tech today. A big thank you to Busy Graham, Carpe Diem Arts, for all the hard work that she does to keep Carpe Diem Arts going. And of course, let's say goodbye to Scott. Thank you, Scott, and goodbye.
Goodbye and all the best to each of you. I hope the year is good to us.
Thank you very much. A beautiful wish on which to end. Try and say that 3 times fast. All right. Thanks again to Scott. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody in the room. Thanks so much, gang, for being here today. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Deli in Maryland, Mabel in Mass with her bears, Arlene in California, Susan in Cincinnati, Ruth and Clive in Birmingham, UK. Lovely to see you guys. Kate in Charlottesville, Caroline in DC, Cricket in Maryland, Bob in Albany, Deborah in Kentucky, Jim Harkless in Maryland, lovely to see you. Kathleen in Albuquerque, Carolyn in Idaho, Martha in Oregon, Annette in California, Fred in Maryland, Becky in Vancouver, Janet in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't think I said hi to you. Glad you're here today. Athena in Brooklyn, lovely to see you. Storm in Massachusetts. Oh, wait, there's Cliff and Lynn in Vermont, and I don't think they were here before either. Nice to see you guys. Sheila in Florida. Louise B., who I think is in Canada, but I'm not remembering. Great to see you today. No, I got that wrong. All right, you're gonna have to clue me in. Kathy in Denver, Colorado. Gracie, nice to have you with us again. I'm glad you joined. Kevin in DC, Jane in Texas, hello. And Jaden, thanks again for running the tech. Nancy's Irish Cow in Washington State. Maureen in Edmonton, Canada. Aloysius in Mass, Gary in Mass. Roger, thanks for being with us today. I think you might be new to us. Anybody who's new is welcome to stay after, and I'll have a quick chat with you before we close. Elizabeth in California. Marcia, who's coming in from Huntsville, I believe it is, and I believe it's Ontario, or it is at least Canada. Ontario, I got it. Lynn in Connecticut, Carol in Connecticut. There's our Galaxy again. Thank you, Galaxy, for being with us. Ann in Silver Spring, Barb, maybe also new to us today. Bob in Massachusetts, nice to see you. Bonnie in Idaho, Kat in Vermont. Antonina coming in from California. Hello, David, maybe also new again to us today. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Bye again.